All right, how's it going, guys? So today we're going to try to teach you guys how to remove broken exhaust flange bolts out of the head, if aluminum or steel head. So there's two easy ways to do it, in my opinion. Actually, there's three. So the first one I've got here is this broken head stud here. So it is sticking out. So you got a couple options there. You can grab it with a pair of vice grips. I'd like to heat it up first, get it a little warm, and grab it with a pair of vice grips and twist it out. If it doesn't start spinning, what we're going to do is I have got a nut that I'm going to weld on to the end of this right here. And then we'll be able to put a socket on there and wrench it off. And we've got another one right down there in that hole. And we've got one right down there in that hole. So you can take an easy out. You can drill a hole in it and take it easy out and tap it in there. That's kind of tough in my opinion. You got to get the hole real nice and centered. And if you got aluminum head, you got to make sure that you don't jog off the edge with the drill bit and mess up your threads. So my personal take on this, what I like to do, like I said, is we grab our welder. And we're just going to start welding nuts on it. So this first one, this one's far enough out, I can just weld a nut straight to it, no problem. These back ones right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by tacking the center of the bolt and building weld out. I want to build pretty much like a stud almost. Get it far enough out where then I can put a nut up there and then weld the nut to the weld that I've already put on there. The good thing about doing that is after you've done welding, the head and the bolt are pretty hot, so then it should free up and come out pretty easily. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started and show you guys how to remove these. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the welder all the way up. We want that weld to have a good penetration in this. If you don't get a good penetration when you start to twist the bolt or the nut, whatever you got, nope, drop that bad boy. Whatever you got, it won't hold and it usually breaks off. So we crank this bad boy all the way up. And then we're gonna come over here. And since this one's sticking out all the way, all I need to do is just get it on there good enough to hold itself on there. And then from there, just burn a little bead on there. Got a good tack on the outside. I'm gonna run one on the inside of that nut as well. In my opinion, the more weld you got on it, the better it's gonna hold that stud better. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let that one cool down. We don't want it glowing hot when you get your socket on there. That'll help just twist it off easier. You don't want to twist the nut off the stud. But now it's good and hot. So once that stops glowing, we'll grab ourselves a socket and see if we can turn that bad boy out of there. All right, so now that we've got it all cooled down, I got my 13 milli, whatever size nut you welded on there. And we're just gonna slowly start to turn it. See, she's moving. If she starts to bind up at all, you can always kind of go back in a little bit and then just work yourself in and out. That is an aluminum head, so sometimes they can kind of get gummed up. But this one's nice and free. She's nice and long too. Just how the ladies like it. Bam. Now it's out. Now we'll go to the other side and we'll show you how to get one that's inset in farther. That is the easy one. Don't let it fool you. So we'll go to the other side, we'll get that hard one out of there and be good to go. All right, so our next one is right down in here and you can see that it's inset. You can't see the stud inside there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my welder and get that tip right in there. Now I'm gonna just start burning kind of little tacks until we build up a stud that comes out of there. right, we got a little something there. I don't know if I like that too much, but it's kind of hanging down. So what I'll do is I'll find a bigger nut and I'll set it on there, and then we'll just weld all the way around there, and hopefully we can spin that out. All right, so for this one, I've got myself a pair of pliers, and this nut here, I got a real big nut so I can really weld inside there. So you want to get yourself a pliers because you're not going to want to hold that with your hand. See if we can get that bad boy down in there. Maybe. There we go. Alright, now once we're down in there, we'll just try to burn it in just like we were on the other one. All right, now this may take 2 or 3 tries to get this, because the hard part is getting your weld up inside that nut to touch the other part of the weld that you've already got. So that is the hard part. This has taken me 2 or 3 tries before. I've done this many times, and just take your time. That's really all there is to it. So hopefully that got a good enough penetration. We'll find out here in a minute after it cools down. We'll see if we can twist that out of there. If not, the nut will break off and we'll try again. All right, so she is cooled down. We're gonna go ahead and just start slightly, just easily twisting her. Like I said, when you got a small tack on there and stuff like that, you don't wanna get all Western with it. It does feel like she's moving. You'll know right away if that nut snaps off. So I let her cool down for about 1.5 minutes. So it wasn't glowing anymore, but it's still hot to the touch. You don't wanna grab it. See, yeah, she's coming out. You can see down in there, it wasn't a very big tack. I barely got a hold of that thing, but just enough. And the heat has a big thing to do with it. The heat is kind of what breaks it free and allows it to come out easier. So if you're going to easy out it and drill it and all that other stuff, definitely add heat to it. That is definitely going to be on your side and be your friend. And you see I didn't get that nut welded center on there. You can see we're wobbling a little bit, but it did the job. Man. So you can see on the stud there that I got the weld, you know, it was kind of hanging off a little bit. But it did bite into the stud just good enough, so then when I held the nut up there and burned it through, it did grab it just enough. Like I said, heat is our friend on this one. I think heat was the biggest thing, because that wasn't a whole lot of weld to grab to, but it worked. All right, so our last one is in the very back right here. And I had this motor out. I was gonna do it out, but I wanted to show you guys that you can do it inside the car and it's still gonna be somewhat easy. So this time I am going to try a different trick. I'm still going to weld, you know, because it's inset inside there, so I'm going to try to weld the bead out and get the bead out of there. But then what I'm going to do, instead of using a nut, I found this old stud. You can use a bolt, anything like that. But I've just found this stud just to show you can just about use anything as long as it's got something you can grab onto. So I'm going to weld a little bit of beads coming out of here, and then what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to just try to weld this just like that onto the bead that I put out there. And then if we can get those secured nice enough, then we can use this to twist it out. I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but we're gonna go ahead and try it just to show you guys there's different options. Try to get a nice straight angle at it so it twists out nice. And I've got it just sitting up there on it. We'll burn it in. Try to throw a little more on there. The more the weld, the better. Probably won't break off as easy. Who knows? Sparkles. Cool. Now we'll let that cool down for a minute. Same thing, we'll grab a wrench and we'll try to twist that out of there. Alright, so she's hopefully cooled down enough. We're just gonna go ahead and start nice and slow. That nut might be. Looks like she's moving. She might be twisting off. And so the trick on this one is, like I said, is the heat. But then I turned the heat up on my welder. I had that thing at full blast. We want that thing to penetrate the stud that's inside and really burn into it. If you have a cold welder and a cold weld and it just tacks on there, it's never really going to stick to that stud. It's not going to burn to it. And then you're just going to fight it and fight it and fight it. I've done that a few times. You know, you don't always have the choice with what type of welder you have. You know, a little buzz box from Harbor Freight will work. You just need to get a little bit hotter with it. And another trick you can do is you can take a little torch and actually heat up the metal before you even start welding. That will get the metal hot enough that when the weld hits it, it'll penetrate better as well. So, but that's it. I'm gonna just finish pulling this out and we'll be good to go. All right, so that's the couple easy ways to get your broken head studs out, broken head bolts out, however you want to call it. In my opinion, it's the easiest way compared to trying to drill in there, especially if you're in the car. Trying to get a drill bit in there and all the other stuff is just going to be a pain in the ass. So if you don't have a welder, find a friend who has a welder or find a local mechanic shop that'll maybe let you use it or help you out there. But yeah, that is it for this video. We appreciate you guys watching. If you learned anything or if you found anything interesting, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Also, comment if you have any other easy ways to get it out of there. You know, our main goal is to help people, show people, and help people learn. So if you got any cool ways to get these head studs out, definitely leave it in the comments below so other people can read it as well. But as always, we appreciate you watching. We'll catch you next time.
Damn. Yeah.